Welcome to Universe Unveiled, the podcast where we explore the mysteries that challenge our understanding of history and the universe. I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Sarah. Today we have another UU Cruise session. We have our panel of experts here. We do this about once a month so that we can visit what the others are learning about and try to expand our knowledge. So, Jacqueline, if you want to go around and let everyone introduce themselves.
Okay, we're going to start with you, Tyrone. Tell the people who you are and where they can find you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me here today. And thank you, everybody, for letting me have an opportunity to listen to what you guys have to say today. Everything you can find on me is on my website, rebirthoftheword.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And Shaman.
So, Jason Huffman, screen name Shaman711. You can find me on YouTube, X, and Rumble, investigating all things Native American, all things antediluvian here in America, and excited to be here with you guys, as always, to hear what Nick's got to offer us today.
Well, it's a delight to have you. Thanks for coming. And next, the Padre.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. So my name is Ricardo Calvario. You can find me at X at Ricardo Calvary1. I would also want to recommend the Institute for Natural Philosophy that this panel is well aware of. And you can find on the website, you can find our magazine, and in the Academia Edu, you can find the papers that we've been working on. So thank you for having me, and looking forward to hear from what Nick is going to present today.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Cousin Nicholas, who's doing our presentation today. Nick, tell everyone who you are.
Thank you very much. Nick from the Occult Rejects podcast. You can find that at BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, and all major podcasts. Today we'll be covering herbs, resins, and incense and ritual magic and their effects on the body and mind and the cranial nerves.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this.
And the nervous system, really.
Yeah. Without any more delay, Nick.
All right.
We
haven't had the delay yet, have we? Has
delay? Yeah. Well, we did for a second with Jacqueline.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. I'll kick it off. All right, so it's herbs, resins, and incense and ritual magic and their effects on the body and mind and the cranial nerves and the nervous system. For millennia, practitioners of ritual magic and witchcraft have burned incense and crafted potions for sacred plants, not only for symbolic reasons, but also to harness their very real effects on the human body and consciousness. Modern science recognizes 12 cranial nerves that mediate our senses: smell, sight, taste, hearing, touch, and vital functions. Interestingly, many traditional ritual herbs engage these same pathways. Aromatic incenses like frankincense and sage stimulate the olfactory nerve, the CN1, directly influencing the limbic system, the brain's emotional center, to induce calm or trance. Pungent spices like peppermint and clove activate the trigeminal nerve, CN5, creating sensations of cooling or numbness. Even infamous witching herbs like mandrake contain alkaloids affecting the oculomotor nerve, CN3, dilating pupils, and the vagus nerve, the CNX, or the CN10, slowing the heart. Thus, the magical effects of these botanicals often have concrete neurological correlates. In this paper, we'll explore a pantheon of herbs, resins, and incenses from common kitchen herbs like rosemary and peppermint to temple incenses like myrrh, detailing both their traditional magical uses and physiological effects, especially on the senses and nerves. Each plant or resin is discussed separately to highlight its unique virtues. Through this comprehensive analysis, we see how ritual magic's herbal lore interweaves spiritual intention and pharmacology, aligning the energy of plants with tangible sensations and healing responses. Here is my thesis in plain terms. Much of what passes for spells and deity contact in ritual, in my opinion, is a finely tuned psychodrama driven by chemistry and staging, not gods. Incense isn't just smell. It's pharmacology routed straight through the olfactory nerve and trigeminal system into the limbic brain. Linalool in lavender lowers arousal. Menthol and peppermint snaps attention while cooling the face. And sensol acetate in frankincense promotes a warm anxiolytic calm. Spicy eugenol and terpenes tweak pain and breath, nudging vagal tone toward safety. Dim lights, chant, rhythm, and expectation to do the rest. The body shifts first, slower heart, looser muscles, easier breath, and the mind backfills a grandiose story to explain the shift. The story is typically a presence entered the room, and why not? I'm so special and smart. Under pressure, the psyche prefers agency over accident. So once the chemicals have softened anxiety, ritual furnishes both an answer, a benevolent helper, and a villain, a hexer, archon, or planetary malefic, to absorb blame for what we can't fix or when comprehension stings or is at a loss completely. The relief you feel becomes proof the helper is real, and so are the delusions. This is the exact point when the so-called magician becomes a slave to the gods and to the terrified mind that has constructed to bring on ease and relief, typically in a lie. In my view, most witches and magicians are running this loop far more often than they are contacting anything external, and even far less of the internal. By the time you have finished reading this or listening to this, Scott Cunningham's books on herbs should look like Dr. Seuss to any serious alchemist, magician, and occultist. Now I will continue on to lavender. Lavender. Lavender is cherished in magic for its ability to bring peace, clarity, and healing. It is often used in spells to calm tensions, attract gentle love, and provide psychic protection. In witchcraft traditions, lavender is associated with spiritual purification and the third eye chakra. Its sweet aroma helps clear the mind, enhance intuitive vision, and invite restful sleep. Healers burn lavender or use its oil to cleanse a space of negative vibes and to lift the spirits with loving Venusian energy. Folklore notes lavender's power to protect against the evil eye and to soothe heartbreak or grief. Dried lavender blossoms are added to sachets for love and tranquility, and it's common ingredient in dream pillows to prevent nightmare. In short, lavender's magical correspondence spans from love to romance to protection and peace. The relaxing reputation of lavender has a well-established biochemical basis. Its essential oil is rich in linalool and linolyl acetate, which have sedative, anxiolytic, anxiety-reducing effects on the nervous system. Inhaling lavender engages the olfactory nerve, the CN1, and directly influences brain regions governing stress. Medical studies show that lavender's aroma enhances GABA neurotransmission, which quiets the central nervous system, much like anti-anxiety medications, but gentler. This GABA modulating effect explains why lavender oil can improve sweet sleep quality and even compared to low-dose tranquilizers in efficacy. Clinically, a specific lavender extract known as Selexin has been shown to reduce anxiety and promote deep, slow-wave sleep without sedation. Additionally, lavender's scent lowers heart rate and blood pressure via the vagus nerve, inducing a state of parasympathetic calm. Some hospitals now use lavender aromatherapy for patients as it reliably reduces agitation and improves mood. Thus, when a witch burns lavender sprigs to concentrate a ritual or anoints herself with lavender oil before meditation, there is a dual action. Spiritually, it purifies and uplifts. Physically, it actually quiets the mind and calms the cranial nerves, preparing one for focused intent. No wonder lavender has been called nature's tranquilizer. By soothing frazzled nerves and easing anxiety, lavender creates an ideal mental state for prayer, healing work, or drift into prophetic dreams. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that before I go to the next one. We'll do it like that, so I'll just keep running my mouth.
I think I just wanted to make a comment on your thesis statement.
And it was a little rough, but I mean that's how I see a lot of this stuff.
No, that's fair. I actually want to agree with you. I think most of that stuff is it's implied, and therefore like it's implied, and people take it on as though it's something that is more concrete than it really is. Like it's power suggestion more than anything, in my opinion. Like, okay, it smells nice or this, but they don't specifically, just smelling something doesn't change a physical state or a mental state inside, like chemically inside your brain, in my opinion, unless you're smelling something that is, a toxin. Right? So yeah.
Well, you step in dog shit, that might change your fucking attitude.
Yeah, that's gonna ruin your day a little bit,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. But yeah, I think in maybe to a very small degree, because it alters your state of mind, because you're allowing it to, or you're convinced that it is doing so. It has, it does have some slight effect, but it doesn't actually alter or change anything at like a molecular level. you know so I would agree with that statement. Yeah.
All right.
I like
Anyway,
that you
else before I continue?
started. I like that you started with you want to agree. I want to agree as well. I can't wait to hear where you go with it. I'm always going to lean towards absolutely everything that we interpret as physical has its echo and correlation in spiritual, right? That's all. It's like, I feel the need to always temper that premise with that, and that's all.
Well, I would add, probably unbeknownst to most people here, I'm actually in Canada registered herbalist. So I would say that aside from ingesting or directly applying, as the case is needed, from herb to herb or concoction to concoction, just inhaling something does not have a significant effect, if any. Like it's only psychological to the effect that you allow it to be.
Well,
Yeah.
your consciousness, it can alter your consciousness. So if we call it sense memory, right? If I smell lavender and that takes me back to third grade when I first stumbled
Sure.
upon, right? My level of consciousness goes somewhere. I travel back to that place. I can literally sense it, right? So
Yeah,
I
well,
think,
the olfactory is definitely
Yeah, that's gonna
connected
give you a lot of
to
memories.
to memory. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's all. If lavender is, as you say, Nick, for prepare for focused intention, right? Okay, well, I'm looking for a consciousness shift if I'm looking for my focused intention. So if I'm using it, where is the correlation? Is an interesting question, but I think it boils down to your consciousness and your experience, right?
Well, I think a lot
Whether
of
or
the
not.
feelings people get from these when they're putting themselves into a ritual or a spell or whatever is making them think something's actually happening.
Yeah, but you can consider it as form of alchemy because you are
Oh yeah, I mean, I burned a piece of trash. I created alchemy. There's smoke in the air now.
sure,
It smells like India now. Yeah.
but if you inhale heroin, it will have an effect on you, right?
Oh
It
yeah.
all depends on what you are inhaling, right?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. And most of these things have effects. All right. So, anything else? All right. I'll move
No,
on.
eager to hear the rest.
All right. So, ginger. That was the next one. Ginger root
I
is a
like
beloved ingredient in folk magic, renowned for its fiery speed up energy. In many traditions, ginger is considered a powerful magical catalyst. I remember that, but from back in the day, it was like, oh, just toss ginger and anything, and it makes it stronger spell. It is added to spells to amplify their effect and to bring faster results. Root's natural warmth and spice correspond to the element of fire and the planet Mars, symbolizing courage, passion, and movement. Witches use ginger in workings for prosperity and success. For example, sprinkling powdered ginger in money drawing charm bags because its energy attracts wealth and abundance quickly. Likewise, in love magic, ginger's heat is employed to spark or intensify passion. A bit of ginger in a love oil or potion is believed to attract romance and stimulate desire. Ginger is also used for protection. Burning ginger or carrying a piece can ward off negativity and evil, creating a protective, fiery barrier around the practitioner. Some hoodoo traditions anoint candles with ginger or eat a sliver of ginger before spell work to empower their personal aura, essentially to increase one's own magical potency and courage. As some modern occultist source notes, ginger's magical properties include amplification, attraction, love, courage, strength, and Mars, prosperity, protection, and healing. In simple terms, ginger puts more heat into any spell, accelerating its workings and emboldening the spellcaster. Medieval magicians even associated ginger with the fiery breath of the dragon, a fitting image for its ability to energize and add bite to rituals. The neural and physiological effects. Ginger's fiery magic is mirrored in its tangible effects on the body's nerves and circulation. When you ingest ginger or even smell its sharp aroma, it activates the trigeminal nerve endings responsible for sensing spice and heat. The phenolic compounds like gingerol and ginger cause that warm, tingling zing on the tongue. Trigeminal stimulation similar to chili peppers, though milder. This stimulation triggers the release of endorphins and increased blood flow, producing a gentle, whole-body warming and energizing effect. Indeed, in herbal medicine, ginger is known as a circulatory stimulant and digestive fire kindler. Ginger's impact on the vagus nerve is also notable. It aids digestion by promoting vagal tone in the gut, which is why ginger tea relieves nausea and stomach upset. Neurologically, ginger may enhance cognitive function by modestly boosting metabolism and blood supply to the brain. Some studies suggest ginger can improve attention and memory in middle-aged women, for example, likely due to its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. At minimum, ginger's zesty scent is invigorating to the senses in aromatherapy tests. Ginger's aroma tends to increase alertness and enhance reaction times. It even influences pain pathways. Gingerol and related compounds can combine to pain receptors, which is partly why ginger alleviates muscle pain and headaches, a bit like a natural painkiller. In short, ginger warms up the nervous system. It literally makes our skin feel hot and our heart pump faster. And in magical terms, this translates to an increase in personal energy and will. Next time a practitioner chews on ginger or drinks ginger tea before a ritual, they're not only following folklore to increase magical power, they are also raising their body's metabolic and neural activity, entering the spell with heightened vigor and focus. This fiery stimulation of nerves and blood is the perfect complement to ginger's Mars-like magical persona as the herb of courage and swift action. Next, I have peppermint, if anybody wants to say anything. Okay. All right, peppermint. Peppermint's bright, crisp energy has made it a staple in witchcraft for cleansing, healing, and mental clarity. In magic, peppermint, and mints generally, are often used to purify a space or one's aura. For example, by sprinkling mint leaves in bath water or burning peppermint incense to dispel negative vibrations. This refreshing scent is believed to increase the vibrations of an area, driving away low or harmful energies and inviting positivity. Peppermint is also strongly tied to psychic powers and alertness. Many practitioners will inhale peppermint oil or keep a peppermint plant on the altar to sharpen their mind before divination. As one herbal compendium notes, peppermint's magical properties are associated with healing, purification, psychic powers, sleep, and love. It is said to enhance third eye awareness and even induce prophetic dreams when placed under a pillow. For this reason, peppermint is a common ingredient in dream pillows alongside lavender and mugwort. In hoodoo, peppermint, sometimes called mint leaves, is used in mojo bags for financial success and good luck, owing to its reputation for attracting positive, high-vibration influences. Peppermint can also be employed in healing spells. Its soothing, cooling nature symbolically cools fevers, tempers anger, and relieves emotional pain. Placing fresh peppermint around the home is even thought to invite friendly spirits and ward off malicious ones. Overall, peppermint's magic is one of upliftment and protection. It clears away negativity, awakens the mind, and surrounds one with invigorating, healthy aura. No wonder folk sayings claim that thriving peppermint in one's garden brings peace to the household and abundance to the wallet. Modern science confirms peppermint's remarkable effect on both mind and body, especially through its impact on our sensory nerves. The cooling menthol and peppermint directly activates the trigeminal nerve endings in mucous membranes. When you apply peppermint oil or inhale its vapor, menthol binds to TRPM8 receptors, fooling the nerves into sensing cold. This creates that distinct cooling, refreshing sensation in the sinuses and on the skin. The trigeminal activation by menthol has systemic consequences. It can relieve tension headaches by desensitizing pain fibers. Hence, peppermint oil rubbed on the temples eases headache pain, as the menthol-numbed trigeminal nerve reduces headache sensation. Peppermint scent also has a strong cognitive effect. Controlled studies have shown that peppermint aroma enhances memory and increases alertness in test subjects. In one study, people working in a peppermint-scented environment had better performance on memory recall and felt more awake than those in unscented or lang scented rooms. Or say that one. This aligns with traditional uses. Students in ancient Greece wore sprigs of mint to stay sharp during exams. Peppermint additionally clears the respiratory passages. Its menthol stimulates cold receptors in the nose and lungs, leading to a feeling of clear breathing and even causing a reflex dilation of bronchial passages. This is partly why peppermint is used for colds and congestion. Through the olfactory nerve and trigeminal pathways, peppermint directly impacts the limbic system and reticular activating system, leading to an awake but calm mental state. One fascinating study found that prolonged low-level exposure to peppermint aroma improved participants' concentration and reduced mental fatigue. And in drivers, sniffing peppermint was shown to decrease frustration and increase alertness, potentially reducing aggressive driving. On the digestive front, peppermint's effect on the vagus nerve is notable. It relaxes the gastrointestinal smooth muscle via antispasmodic action, alleviating indigestion and nausea. This vagal soothing can translate to an overall relaxation response in the body. In summary, peppermint activates and soothes simultaneously. It clears your head, heightens your senses, yet also eases pain and tension. The dual action perfectly mirrors its magical profile. It clears away negativity and enhances psychic clarity while also promoting healing and calm. When a witch burns peppermint during a ritual for focus or places mint in a charm for luck, they are unknowingly engaging the very nerves that heighten focus and improve mood. The scientific verdict aligns with the magical lore. Peppermint truly is an herb to refresh the spirit and invigorate the mind. Then I'll go on to myrrh unless anybody has anything.
I would say of all the herbs, probably peppermint is the one that does actually have an effect upon inhalation almost instantaneously, and there's lots of studies that back that up. Like it's the same reason. Remember when you were a kid, like camphor-based products, like have the same sort of effect. Like your mom would put the Vicks on your chest
Yeah,
so
I
that you
know, and
could breathe
you almost
easier.
felt like it hit your sinuses right away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. It
Yeah.
opens up it bronchodilates and
God,
opens up the air.
those are
Opens up the
old
airway.
school
Yeah.
memories, man. Fucking
Yeah.
rub on your chest as a kid.
Yeah, put a little bit underneath your
Yeah.
nose so you could breathe. Yeah. And for sure there's been lots of studies that indicate that it does have an effect for people who suffer migraines or like even people that with acute headaches. Like, it's not as though it's out there curing all these things or taking away the pain completely, but it does ease the severity for sure.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Jacqueline, because, and most of y'all know I have really bad chronic migraines. At some point, I'm going to have to like cancel or whatever because of a migraine. I mean, it's just completely debilitating. But peppermint is one of the things that I use, and I use that more than any other herb. It's peppermint because it helps more than anything else. I mean, it's kind of like Shaman was saying about part of it being your memories and your consciousness, like you were saying, your mom coming in and putting the Vicks on you when you're sick. Part of that is consciousness, but part of that is actually physical. It works. It helps alleviate symptoms of pain, and I can personally vouch for that one. So yeah.
Like, it's short-lived. The effect is short-lived. So it's something
Yeah.
that you have to continuously apply, or like I've seen like those little inhalers that you just stick it in your nose, and they
I
actually
love those.
sell the Vicks ones like that too. But
Yep.
I've bought from a practitioner like a specially prepared one that had peppermint. You can get spearmint also, but that's a little less effective. Yeah.
I
So yeah.
I think I think ginger has. I mean, I'm gonna not argue with you here, but add ginger to the list of when you inhale it. So I'll use ginger for. I see Nick coughing. It reminds me lungs, right? Anytime I have an issue with my lungs, I'll just chunk up ginger and boil it, right, and make that tea and drink it. instantaneously, you mentioned bronchiodilate, right? Instantaneously, man, you can feel the lungs open, right? So I started just putting my head over it with a towel and inhaling, and the aroma will have the same effect as you say, warming. You can feel the blood warm, you can feel the lungs sort of bronchiodilate. Maybe it's consciousness, but I didn't do that as a kid. So, it's me wanting it to work, or it does have that effect indeed.
Well, in since medieval times in Iberia, they use eucalypt leaves. So they put it into water, a towel above it, and they breathe into it, and it was considered actual medicine until like the 19th century for respiratory problems. So it's
No, that's interesting. It makes me think about like if you ever gone to like a massage place or like you go on vacation or went to a resort, they always give you those towels that smell like that shit.
yeah.
I kind of
But
forgot they did.
but my fascination with all of what you're saying is who found out all about this? Who tested all of these herbs, right, to get their results and document them? So, because it didn't happen by, well, it might have happened by accident by the person that is testing them, but it's not something that the regular Joe would, oh, I have this problem, let me grab some peppermint, and like saying, let me get some butter and put it in my nose and see if it works, right? It's yeah. So it's yeah. Someone had to come up with that.
That's
true.
funny. Yeah, how did you?
It was scientific research, I mean, oftentimes we call shaman or whatever, but it's whatever you call it, it's the person that's out there over generations.
Well, who's the
Yeah,
first
because
person who's like, oh, if I stick this up my ass, it'll work better?
yeah. Well, look. I
Like a
was
suppository. Who came up with that shit?
I was probably 6 or 7 years old and gone to a physician office for some reason I can't remember. And there is this poster on the wall speaking about this Chinese guy in BCE times that tried 10,000 herbs on itself and documented the
Oh, I've
results
heard
of
about that. I've heard
yeah.
about that.
But I looked for it online and it doesn't
I've
appear.
heard.
The only thing appears is this huge shin that in the 1500s tested 1,100 herbs and documented them, and he was a physician for the Ming dynasty. So, but the other guy, I never found it. But someone has to do it, and this guy was supposedly on a cave testing all of these herbs and just documented. So it's I don't know how he survived all of that, being alone and documented that, but
Curiosity did
He
not
wasn't
kill the
alone.
cat, but it did result in this. It did result in this stick of ginger up my bum, so it's burning. Right?
Put some cinnamon.
but I'm
all over
breathing better. I cannot sit down, but I'm breathing much better.
Really opened things up for me there.
Y'all, I about spit my water out my nose.
it. I made the mistake by putting cinnamon oil into a ritual bath. Do not do that.
Oh.
Oh God.
Set you on fire.
Yeah.
Very spicy. Very,
Yeah.
very spicy.
Live and learn.
That shit hurt. All right. Should I go on to the next one? I left frankincense out, unfortunately, just because of time.
Sweaty balls.
But I will be covering.
I hate frankincense.
Oh, I love that
Nick,
stuff.
Nick's sweaty
hate it.
cinnamon balls.
But
Why do you hate frankincense, Sarah? Why do you
I don't
hate
know, it just-
frankincense?
I don't want to say because
It's my favorite.
I don't want to get canceled.
Okay.
It smells like a gas station, okay? I'm sorry.
I can see that.
I'm sorry. I'm
I can
so
see
sorry.
Okay. All right. So we'll go on to Mar. No frankincense. Fuck frankincense.
Fuck it.
Frank did not make any sense. Anyway,
No,
He did not.
I don't know how he smelled like a gas station, but we'll just roll forward. There's a backstory there, Sarah. I think it's itching.
Either I'm
to be
fucked up and
told.
I got it, or that I'm just totally not getting that either. I don't know. Myrrh is the bittersweet sister of frankincense, often paired together in incense blends for church rituals and spells. In magic, myrrh is associated with the divine feminine, the great mother, with rites of purification and consecration. Ancient Egyptians used myrrh in embalming and funeral ceremonies, so it became linked to honoring the dead and the journey of the soul. Burning myrrh is thought to elevate vibrations, aid meditation, and foster healing and wisdom. Burns before ritual, myrrh rids the area of negative vibrations. It helps cultivate wisdom and self-healing. Indeed, myrrh is commonly included in incense to cleanse a sacred place or to bless and anoint altars. In biblical lore, myrrh was one of the gifts to the Christ child, foreshadowing his death. It was used at his burial. Hence, myrrh symbolizes sacrifice, suffering, and also spiritual immortality. Protection is another key of the magical properties. Myrrh's smoke drives out evil influences and is said to guard the soul of one who carries it. In medieval Europe, myrrh was hung in sachets to prevent hauntings or psychic attacks. Myrrh is also sacred to the goddess Isis, Mary, and Venus in her sorrowful aspect. It represents the bitter tears of the goddess. In witchcraft, myrrh can be burned to communicate with the dead or as an offering when working with ancestors, as its vibration is believed to bridge the living and the spirit. Notably, the Greek magical papyri, or the PGM, include recipes where myrrh is burned to invoke love or attraction. One PGM spell instructs chanting a lover's name over burning myrrh to inflame her with love. Thus, beyond somber uses, myrrh also figures in love and healing spells as a catalyst to open the heart by releasing past pain. Overall, myrrh's magical identity is complex. It purifies and protects like frankincense, but with a more introspective underworld quality, fostering meditation, inner healing, and a safe passage through grief or spiritual trials. It's often said that frankincense is the light and myrrh is the dark, complementary resins balancing each other in sense of power. Now, the neural and physiological effects. Myrrh's resinous smoke, like frankincense, has notable effects on the body, senses, and nervous system. Chemically, myrrh contains compounds such as, this word, I'll spell it out, FURANOSESQUITERPNOIDS. I don't know what that is. Some kind of penoids. And also...
Oh, but we want to hear you say it.
Furano...
You can ask for it to be used in a sentence. We can say it phonetically.
Quiterpenoids and sesquiterpene alcohols that give it astringent and antimicrobial properties. In the nervous system, myrrh is mildly sedative and helps with pain. In tradition, medicine myrrh resin was applied to wounds to numb pain and prevent infection. Modern analysis shows myrrh can activate opioid receptors in mouse brains, hinting at a pain relief mechanism. This could relate to its effect on the trigeminal nerve pain fibers in wounds, perhaps why it soothes toothaches when applied to gums. In fact, aromatherapy, inhaling myrrh oils tend to have a grounding, centering effect. Some describe it as a calming the nerves but focusing the mind. It likely engages olfactory pathways similar to frankincense. Myrrh's aroma is earthier and more melancholic. Some researchers suggest myrrh's scent can reduce heart rate and blood pressure slightly, indicating parasympathetic vagal activation. Interestingly, while frankincense insole acetate causes euphoria, myrrh's sesquiterpenes or whatever may cause a more introspective mood, not depression, but a thoughtful calm. On a sensory note, burning myrrh produces a somewhat bitter medicinal aroma. The bitterness on the tongue and nose can stimulate the glossopharyngeal nerve, the CN4, and trigeminal nerves, causing a mild expectoration and tightening of mucous membranes. Hence, it dries the air. This astringency is associated with clearing congestion. Indeed, myrrh tincture helps dry up excess mucus in bronchitis. Meanwhile, myrrh's influence on brain waves has not been studied as much as frankincense. Frankincense actually was a lot more detailed. But many mediators report that combining the two resins yield a deeper meditative state than either alone. It may be that myrrh complements frankincense by prolonging the calming alpha brain waves after initial relaxation. In effect, frankincense lifts the mood and myrrh grounds and centers it, preventing the mind from wandering. In a ritual context, when myrrh is burned, the participants often describe feeling solemn or reverent. This is likely a mix of psychological expectation and genuine neurophysiology. Slower breathing, lowered arousal. Moreover, the combination of frankincense and myrrh has been found to have a synergistic antimicrobial effects, literally cleansing the air of bacteria, which could translate to easier breathing and a subtle relief of physiological stress. Summing up, myrrh has a quieting, healing touch on the nerves. It does not blast one with stimulation, rather it gently does, and encourages introspection. In magical thinking, this equates to inner purification. Myrrh helps numb the pain of old wounds, physical or emotional, allowing one to process and release trauma, hence its use to heal personal sorrow. It's a fine example of a plant whose bitter medicine soothes, bridging the gap between physiological and spiritual cleansing of one's being. Anybody wants to add anything to myrrh?
I just want to ask you, as a practitioner, I understand the physiological effects and their study, but who and when and or why, it's more easy perhaps, they started to apply that to a spell when it's not a physiological or a psychological effect, but it's a practical effect at distance. So it is the symbology of the herb itself that then is applied to a magical practice or magical ritual, or how do you see that coming to be the use of certain plants for magical rituals when they are not implied to create a physical or psychological effect, but to create some effect, some practical magical effect at distance to someone or something?
My opinion, I think when it comes to magic, I think it all applies to oneself. And I do think at some point, I mean, this is something I've even gone on about in my own shows. Going back to the 1600s, the 1700s, you have people drawing more, just as detailed pictures of the brain and the eyeballs in books that we see with microscopes now. I think they understood science in the past. I think they have understood it for a long, long time. And I think most of these things are actually supposed to be used on oneself to help them, honestly, ride the lightning, to have a magical experience. That's why I think a lot of them even help with breathing. They help with anxiety, with the fear behind of what you're doing to calm you down. I think an actual ritual to actually have a magical experience, you are committing somewhat temporary suicide. When you want to start changing the world around you and start changing other things, you're fucking with black magic. This stuff is supposed to be used on yourself and not to change anything else around you. Because then you're enforcing your will onto the
It's
world.
almost like you did applying a herb or a resin or anything like that to a spell or integrating it into your magical ritual is almost like setting personal intention.
I mean, one thing I'm not even covering on the show and something I'm going to add, which I was going to leave out because I didn't even want to go there, but unfortunately, I think it hammers in what I wanted to get at. How many spells have all these plants that could possibly kill you that you're putting into your potions? It's because you need to die.
Mm.
Same thing, shamans should understand this from people going through shamanistic work. What do you think they're doing? They're pushing themselves to the edge of death.
Yeah, it echoes all the way from, whether you're talking a psilocybin experience, right? Which just is a concrete
That's even another thing I'm including too.
ego goes, right? Like it literally goes. The last one I could think of, I was waiting for somebody to come get me after I had my tea or to come meet me, to have tea with me. And I went ahead and in my brain, I'm thinking, hey, where is, and just in that instant, my brain goes, what do you mean, where is somebody else? How is there somebody else? And I lose the ability, right? Ego goes. But like you said, the shamanistic process, man, is your life, right? It's transmuting the pain, right? It's an alchemy of, as you say, yourself, right? All of these things, I think at their heart, of course, my experience tells me, is about yourself, right? No matter how you're coming at any spiritual aspect, which is when we talk about magic, we're talking about untangible, we're talking about spirit, right? It's all about you, right? Aiming it at you, transforming you, dying, as Nick says, right? To you, to your understanding of everything, so that you can step across that veil or have that veil thinned, have what Nick calls a magical experience, have what I might call an afternoon in fourth dimensional consciousness,
Yeah.
Right?
Different names for it. Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah, it's where we're going, you know, and what we're trying to do and we're doing here is when we go there, right? When we take our consciousness there, what happens? We put up kind of a scaffolding from, if we want to call it third D consciousness up to 4D, or non-magical experience to magical, right? Once I go there, I have that experience I can use to build as a scaffolding, is how I word it, to bring my 3D consciousness, my non-magical experience consciousness, bring that baseline up closer to what I experience when I'm having those experiences, right? So what is my goal this whole time, even when going there? It's so that I bring back to myself, build this scaffolding, and raise my own consciousness base level up. And I'll stop there, but it's all about what we do with us, to echo Nick's point, not what we try to do out there in the world. You know, that's
It's
no
using
go.
I mean,
it's
I know
using
that's a lot of
like
ifs for what my theory that you have to actually believe people understood this shit in the past, but I do think that's possible.
Well, it's how
I
we change.
definitely
It's how we change, guys. Everything, right? And like Nick said, if you want to change something out there, do you go this short circuit black magic route, or do you take the painful route? Do you go in? Do you do the fucking work? Do you do what's necessary to then find yourself one day through the pain, walking hand in hand with this mystery, whatever we want to label it, right? And walking at a much higher level because you have personally put in the work to go there and do it.
sure the transformative work, transformative platforming, scaffolding, as you said.
Scaffolding. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Which is hard work, right? It's all hard work. So if whatever you need to use to get you there. So like if you're taking like a hero dose of psilocybin or you know, or you think that it's going to calm your nerves to sniff some lavender, whatever you use to build your scaffolding,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Which is why I stated in the beginning that a lot of that stuff, like Nick said, is it's psychological. It's bolstering your psychological or your mindset to prepare you to perform something that you feel is a bit of a feat,
Yeah.
right?
is the psychological, is that the same thing as the placebo effect that you guys know of? Okay.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I would
I
almost
just
say
wanted to
that.
make
Yeah.
sure I verify I understood
Yeah,
what
Like,
you
I
guys
would
saying.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Not like to
Almost use
say
that
that
word.
it has no effect isn't really true because they do have effects, but they're very short-lived or they're very minimal. So for me, my understanding and my experience is that it's largely psychological.
Well, I was just gonna say, because I agree with both what you guys saying when you say psychological and then doesn't have an effect, right? Psychological, we know that we have certain CBD and THC things in our brains. Anything that's in, we have the ability within ourselves to do all the dopamine type of stuff that we want to do on ourselves. So the smell of it, does it activate it? Is that the, you know, the trigger that can help some people that can't do it naturally? They need an outside element, is something that I probably I'm thinking about. I understand better on that concept of what you guys are saying, because if I take a jar of marijuana and I smell it, I probably would get that effect of saying, oh, this might help me a little bit, right?
I'm gonna get high.
And
Like,
then not necessarily high, but the like I'm like Sarah, I have a, y'all already know I have a traumatic brain injury, so I get headaches all the time, all the time. And I can tell you certain smells will relieve my headaches for only maybe 5-10 minutes. It's not too long. And then the intensity, it will come back, but it does help a little bit if I'm surrounded by certain smells. I spray lavender on my pillows and certain stuff like that when I'm laying down and going to sleep. So when I hear the word psychological or the placebo effect, I usually just take it as, you know, it's an outside element helping me do something that I can't naturally do within myself.
Well, I would say, in Sarah and Tyrone, if you have migraines, I have a question for you. That is, it is something that apparently is inescapable unless you take something or use something to minor its effects or its pain. But do you experience for very short periods of time, that can be 5 seconds, it can be 3 minutes, when your mind goes to something and focus on something, and it's only after that period ends that you realize, oh, I have a headache, because during that period it completely disappears because you focused on something, right? Or something called to your attention. and it disappears, because it happens with me. So I realize that the pain is there because I am having the pain, but I can also completely eradicate it. If I can do it for short periods of time, if I learn to control that, I can completely eradicate it for the full time of it, right? So it's a bit frustrating that I can't, but do you experience that, or is it just a constant?
For me, mine is more constant just because I have a low blood flow to the right side of my brain. So that's more physical than anything. Like I literally had 2 strokes before. So having poor blood flow to the right side of my brain is something that I always feel. Like I always have pressure over the right side of my eye. And but I can tell you when I meditate and I do intense meditation, and I do it very hard too. Like I'll sit out there 2-3 hours, and I don't do it when there's any sound around. I do it like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, go in the backyard, sitting back and just meditate 20-30 minutes. It doesn't get rid of my headache, but it helps me cope better with it. If that helps you understand. Like a pain, like with a broken arm, when you had a cast on your hand and you could feel the pain still throbbing a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. You just could feel it whenever, basically stood still kind of thing.
I would agree, but the problem for me is that I can't focus on anything else because it literally feels like someone has an ice pick and a hammer and they're just forever. So, I mean, the only thing that really, as far as focus, I mean, you're limited on what you can attempt to focus on because you have things like photophobia where the lights are just excruciating and sound can be excruciating. The only thing I can manage to focus on is music, and it has to be a specific kind of music, something with like a repeating pattern, and then I'll focus in on that pattern, and then that can make some time go by where I'm not just completely miserable. But for the most part, I'm still just completely miserable. I mean, it gives you something to distract yourself with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So
If
HemiSync
you,
is really good for that. HemiSync, I use a lot of programs from
I do
HemiSync.
too.
I,
I
I
use a
think
lot of
if
hemming.
I think, Sarah,
Go
that
ahead.
what you're saying explains why you find so many Neanderthal skulls and that have holes in them, that they did surgery that archaeologists think it's to relieve pressure, or
That's what you feel
anthropologists.
like you need to
Yeah,
do.
so
It's
yeah,
just
I needed to open right here because that's where it hurts. So open and let me release the pressure. So I always thought it was because of that, because of my migraines. And it reminds me, when I saw the holes, I thought, ooh, they're feeling the pressure. Open right here.
eh.
So
I know, I wonder if it helped because, I mean, like, when you're in the middle of a migraine episode, you would do anything to get rid of that. You know, if someone said, "Eat this dog shit and it'll help you," I'm gonna eat that dog shit. Just not a second thought about it. I'm gonna do it, and there's no way you can stop me because you will do anything to get rid of it. So it makes me wonder if I could just
well, it is a tradition in Africa of eating coal, especially when women are pregnant and having pain. They eat coal, which is, to me, is weird because I thought it was highly toxic, but apparently not. So that's one of the things they do. So,
for
when it's
migraines,
for pain,
pain.
yeah,
Charcoal,
especially when they're pregnant.
I get
charcoal
why they
gets the
would do
toxins
that.
out. Yeah.
I get why they would do that because like charcoal is used to like purge your body
Right.
of toxins, right? Especially like in the digestive tract. So that does make sense to some degree.
Neutralizes everything.
And
Yep.
think about actually doing that. It would be so awful that unless it actually had an effect, a positive effect, would you really do it? So it
No,
must be
they do
beneficial.
it in the hospital,
Yeah. If you go in and
Yeah.
you've drinking too much alcohol specifically and that,
Yeah.
then they pump your stomach full of liquid charcoal to purge your system. So
Yep. Learned that
That checks out.
firsthand. My daughter.
Oh God.
That's a negative experience. Yeah, we won't go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do use charcoal. So, Nick, I'll let you keep going. But what came to my mind when Sarah was talking about the migraines and Tyrone mentioned the placebo. Placebo, I think, can be taken a couple of ways, right? Because when you look at it just objectively, you're saying that a disease or something, a symptom was cured, but I didn't have the remedy which you were testing for, right? So you're saying I cured myself, right? Is essentially what a placebo effect is, right? I gave myself the effect the medication was supposed to give me, right? Okay, so if absolutely everything, Ricardo, you were talking about the trilogues yesterday, holograph versus simulation. You know, if we say that word holograph, and we talk about everything in the physical having its own, not mirror, but aperture, you know, its own appendage in the spiritual, right? Where these two are constantly correlating, then we can say that anything going on in the physical can be addressed in the spiritual, right? So when you start tapping into something like, you know, Christ or all these different various forms of energetic healing, you know, which we know from the East, right? What are they addressing? They're addressing the spiritual manifestation to try to get the physical manifestation. Now, how does that apply to something like a migraine? Okay. Well, if you zoom way out, I've got a bad back, right? My back hurts every single day of my life, right? Now, you guys know me as an extremely active, always out there, always on it, right? Well, I am, but it also always hurts, right? What does that do for me? That does a lot of things for me. That teaches me to push through pain. That gives my soul, my spirit aspect, a resilience, a strength. It also gives me physically, I learned to push through pain. I learned to keep going, right? You can see where I'm going. I then, my soul, reflection of my physical body picks up all of this training, this understanding. I can even take it to the point of like Sarah, let's say her migraines, right? I don't know how long she's had them, probably most of her adult life, right? What happens with that migraine? It pins her somewhere, right? She can't get up, she can't go. So maybe if Sarah didn't have migraines, Sarah might be out living some active life, doing something that would have not had her right here where she is running this podcast with all of us, right? So you see how my brain starts to work and see the correlations of all of this physical stuff exists for the purpose of spiritual, right? So all of it, I can get the growth effects, you know, and I can see them in my life and yours. Um, anyway, so when I go to hear placebo effect, I go, okay, so we're tapping into that spiritual reality is what we're doing. That's all I got.
Well,
And
but
Sarah's back.
it doesn't deny the fact that it is been proven that by whatever you want to call it, the placebo effect, the self-actuation, as I call it, you
Good
can
word.
actually control your biosuit.
Mm-hmm.
It leads you to the conclusion that this is a biosuit. This is not you. This is just the interface into this holographic or simulation or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yes.
Because reality is but a quantum entanglement of elements that are brought into reality by the refraction of light, right? So in itself, the description itself shows us that it's like a magical environment.
Mm-hmm.
So if by that definition alone, if you can see yourself as just interacting with it instead of being under its rules and regulations, you can interfere with it. You can change that reality to yourself, at least, right? So that's how I see placebo effect. It's like the rubber arm experience. How is it that your body suddenly starts receiving signals from a rubber arm because you believe it's your own,
Correct.
right? So it's biology of belief by Bruce Lipton is the morphogenetic field from Rupert Sheldrake. All of these things that are not woo-woo, they are actual science, shows us that we can indeed control ourselves, control this body, right? To a certain degree. You have Wim Hof, the Iceman, that takes these 10 people to the hospital where they are injected with this neurotoxin, along with 10 other people that didn't were into his 1 week training.
Mm-hmm.
And these 10 people get out of the hospital with no symptoms, no consequences from the neurotoxin. And the 10 people that were injected and had not the training, some of them were 3 days in the hospital to get better. So I think there's something to be learned here. It's a bit frustrating that we can't control, like Sarah cannot say, I want my headache to stop, and it stops, right? But I believe there is a process where we can learn to do that and go above that and control the body. So I will
I
shut
think
up.
so. Until like we say, until it's done serving its purpose. I mean, we don't, at the end of the day, know why Sarah has these headaches. And like I say, it might be to orchestrate her life in such a way that she's where she needs to be when she needs to be there. Now some people balk at that, right? But that has been an answer that's worked for me because all of the things I've done, I've overcome pain. I've had situations I didn't like that as a result, once I got through that situation, I realized, well, that's why that shit was there. If that shit hadn't been there, I wouldn't have been where I needed to be. But at the end of the day, Ricardo, I think what you're saying is accurate, man. If you can get to a place where you can find what is it in the spiritual that this thing that has my head aching latching on to, right? Then you should theoretically be able to clear it. But I always run
That's the
into
goal.
us having complete control over this place kind of blows up my dynamic of there being a creator in control, right? And when I'm doing that, I then can see purpose and plan behind so much of what we might call suffering, like my back or your head.
Yeah, but when you're playing an open map game, there is a creator of the game, and you still have freedom to do whatever you want
No,
within it,
correct.
right? So
Yeah.
it's when people take this further, they go, it's a simulation within a simulation within a simulation, because we don't know how many levels of simulation we are embedded in, right?
Base reality, right?
Yeah, because
That's why I like
most,
holograph better because, holograph just
yeah,
requires
as I said yesterday, I believe that the holographic is the result of the simulation. The simulation creates a holographic scenery, right? Instead of trying to choose between one and another, I think they're both interconnected. Like the simulation is the coding and the holographic is the reality that we experience, right? That's
right.
how it represents itself. So, well,
Sorry, Nick,
Nick,
we sidelined
yeah,
there.
we went a little bit off track, but you continue, because it's you that is stimulating all of this. So
Thank you. The rose, we'll go on to the rose. The rose is synonymous with love and beauty in the world of magic. Its soft petals and exquisite perfume have made it an emblem of Venusian energy. Everything to do with love, from romance to self love, attraction, and emotional healing. Witches and mystic use roses in countless ways: rose petals sprinkled in a bath to attract love, rosebud in sachets to promote friendship, rose water to consecrate the altar with vibrations of peace and harmony. It's typically known roses are used for love spells, healing, protection, and spiritual connection, and are considered a conduit for energy and a bridge between worlds. They are also protective in a gentle way. For instance, a rose bush planted by the door is said to keep out envy and intrusion. Divination and psychic wisdom are another aspect. Some traditions anoint the third eye with rose oil or keep a rose on the table during tarot readings, believing it invites guidance from loving spirits and enhances intuition. In angelic or devotional magic, the scent of roses is thought to attract angels and benevolent entities. Furthermore, due to their association with the Blessed Mother in Christianity and goddess Ishtar and Aphrodite, roses carry a spiritual authority for blessing and consecration. They can sanctify holy water, hence rose water in church rituals, and are used to bless people in ceremonies like hand fastings or baby blessings. In darker workings, dried rose thorns can act as subtle banishers or bindings. Their prickly nature holds or repels. But overwhelmingly, the rose's magic is positive and healing, which is sometimes meditate on a mental inner rose blooming in the heart as a way to awaken self-love and psychic sight. With correspondences to water, emotions, and Friday, the day of Venus, the rose is arguably one of the most magical flowers. It is literally considered a high vibration plant. Modern energy healers claim roses have one of the highest energetic frequencies of any herb. Magical correspondences of the rose is planet Venus, the element water, and deities of love, Aphrodite, Venus, and Eros. The chakra would be the heart, and properties again be love, friendship, beauty, psychic protection, luck in love, and prophetic dreams, especially when combined with mugwort and peace. Neural and psychological and physiological effects. The fragrance of roses has a well-known calming and uplifting effect on the human nervous system. Rose essential oil, extracted from rose petals, has been studied and found to reduce anxiety and promote relaxation. When subject to inhale rose oil, there are measurable drops in blood pressure, breathing rate, and cortisol levels, indicating activation of the parasympathetic nervous system and a reduction of the fight or flight response. One study found that rose oil aromatherapy significantly decreased anxiety in postpartum women, likely through modulation of GABA or dopamine in the brain. On the sensory level, the scent of rose engages the olfactory nerve, which relays directly to the limbic system, the hippocampus, and other parts of the brain. Rose aroma tends to increase feelings of comfort and decrease stress responses in the amygdala, partly explaining why it's associated with feelings of love and safety. There's also an interesting connection between rose scent and memory, because many people have positive emotional memories linked to roses, gift from loved ones, gardens, etc. Kind of like I think what Shaman was getting at earlier, memories. The smell can trigger release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and endorphins, giving a mild euphoria of sense of emotional warmth. From a cranial nerve perspective, rose interacts chiefly with the CN1, the olfactory. However, if one applies rose oil to the skin or in a massage, trigeminal nerve CN5 endings might pick up a slight cooling or soothing sensation from the linalool or cranial components. These components also have mild painkiller effects. One trial noted that rose oil topically reduced menstrual cramp pain, possibly by relaxing smooth muscle via the autonomic nerves. Another fascinating aspect, the EEG pattern associated with rose essential oil inhalation shows an increase in alpha and theta waves, indicating a relaxed but alert mental state, similar to meditation. This aligns with rose's use in spiritual practices to elevate consciousness gently. Furthermore, a Japanese study found that sleeping in a rose-scented room led to more reports of pleasant dreams, suggesting rose aroma can influence the content of dreams, perhaps by biasing emotional tone towards positive. This might be why folklore claims rose under the pillow encourages prophetic or loving dreams. In terms of hormonal effects, some small studies hint that rose oil can reduce adrenaline levels and maybe increase libido by lowering stress, linking it to its aphrodisiac reputation, not just a symbol, but physically as a relaxant that allows sensuality. As for protective qualities, one could argue that by stabling mood and promoting optimism, rose indirectly armors the psyche against negative thought patterns, which magicians might interpret as warding off evil influences. Interestingly, modern research has even looked at a rose extract as an antidepressant. In traditional Persian medicine, rose was used for melancholy, and some contemporary herbalists use rosa, the mesquina extract, to alleviate depression and grief. It appears to interact with serotonin and opioid receptors, producing calm happiness. In summary, rose affects the brain and body primarily by reducing stress and enhancing emotional well-being. Its smell literally communicates you are safe, you are loved to the limbic system. It's a gentle sedative and mood brightener wrapped in one. So when a magical practitioner surrounds herself or himself with the scent and sight of roses to do a love spell or a healing meditation, the roses are biologically helping them achieve the necessary emotional state, open, trusting, positive, for the magic to work. The phrase, "stop and smell the roses," has wisdom. It activates our cranial nerves in a way that forces a pause, a deep breath, and a smile. On the subtle level, one could say roses attune our nervous system to the frequency of love. On the other literal level, they cause measurable shifts towards a calm, heart-centered physiology. Anybody want to talk on rose before I go next?
Yeah. Is there
What?
any definition about the colors of the rose to be used, or is that
No, I
all the
probably should
same?
have. Yeah, I did. Do include that with the crystals. I thought about doing that with the herbs myself too after the fact. It's just, I was just like, I don't know how many people like, I don't know. I guess if you're looking at a big bag of it, I mean, I don't know how that works. If I'm just sprinkling a couple little things on a charcoal, was me looking at that, I don't know, but I have thought about including that.
Hmm. And this is a question for all the panel, but maybe Jacqueline knows better. Is that this is like the egg or the chicken question, because
Yeah, that's exactly what was going to come out of my mouth. You read me,
because
bro.
let's see, because what comes next, because we have all the endocannabinoid receptors, we have the psilocybin receptors, we have the opioid receptors. So why do we have all these receptors that makes us vulnerable to exactly the substances that you are mentioning, right? So was it developed by the use of those herbs in primal times, or did it came naturally with our body, right, in evolutionary terms? So,
That's a deep
what comes first, right?
Well, you're digging into, look, what came first, the what the rose, the effect the rose has, like he said, right? Okay, now why do I give roses to my daughter on opening night? Why do I give roses to a new woman when I'm meeting her, right? Because I'm wanting the effects he listed, right? I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel relaxed. I want you to feel loved, right? So what came first? These effects, like he said, so that I would near here as an adult give roses to you. You see, I mean, you can go
Yeah, but
deep
I
with
can
that. The
understand the
chicken or the
process.
egg.
I can understand the process of you looking at a variety of flowers and saying, "Oh, the rose is pretty. So if it is pretty to me, it is pretty to her too, or to whatever you want to give it to, right?" It doesn't mean that you have the savvy to know that it has properties that will make her like you more because you're giving her the rose, right? And that leads to the receptors. So what's the origin and what's the purpose of those receptors into this biosuit as we were describing? Is it to make us open to this experience? Is it to make us vulnerable? It is to make us stronger. Maybe it can be used either way. I just find it funny that we have those receptors into our body, right? And most of the drugs that are considered bad by most people, we can produce them naturally by stimulating these receptors. So, not to mention a lot of drugs that our body produces that we can't obtain outside of it.
Well, I would apply a little bit of logic to your question and say if we, if you're asking about the chicken or the egg, if, and I mean, I know I always bring it back to the same substance, but if, somebody thought, hey, what is this mushroom? 10,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago, and they took it and it didn't do anything to them. Why, if they didn't have the receptors to begin with, why would they continuously try to take the psilocybin to have a mystical experience if it had no effect? So I would say that our our skin suit came equipped with said receptors, because all the things we're talking about, first of all, are naturally occurring and they're in our environment. So we were equipped with the receptors from the beginning. And maybe at some point it was an evolutionary beginning to those receptors. But if it didn't have an effect, or it didn't, if the smelling the roses didn't calm you or make you feel, even appreciative of the scent of the rose, then you wouldn't continue to smell it. That's my answer.
So we were supposed from the beginning to drug ourselves out.
Who knows? Right?
Yes.
What did you remember the Bill Hicks bit, the comedian, when he's talking about God creating everything, and he said he's God on stage and he's got a handful of marijuana, and he goes, "Oh me, oh my, I spilled pot everywhere. Now I've got to create Republicans to make it illegal."
Those pesky Republicans.
I guess today it could be either. It was that was in the 80s when he was
Oh
making
yeah,
the
no, that
joke,
totally makes sense.
But it's still to the
Well,
point of, if it's by design, if I have the receptor in here, if I have the receptors in my body, and the only place I can acquire that thing for that receptor is in this plant, what kind of idiot doesn't see inherent design? Obviously, you don't believe in a creator if you don't see that.
well, they don't understand Bill Hicks' part of "It's Just a Ride."
Just a ride, man. It's just a ride.
All right. Do you want me to continue? All right. This one should be
Onward.
lemon balm. Melissa aficionalis.
One of my personal favorites.
Yeah, yeah. That's, so
I
do yeah.
love
That's
it.
why. Yeah, that
Yeah.
and lavender always huge. So I made sure I covered those. Magical uses. It's often called Melissa, Greek for honeybee or heart's delight. Lemon balm carries a light, bright energy and magic. The lemonly mint herb is famed for its ability to soothe emotional pain and attract gentle love, which is used lemon balm in spells to heal from grief or heartbreak. For example, brewing a tea of lemon balm and rose petals to drink during a waning moon ritual, releasing sadness and inviting self-love. It is said to gladden the heart and was historically used in potions to cheer the mind and dispel melancholy. In folk magic, lemon balm is associated with positive energy, success, and friendship. Adding it to sachets or baths is believed to draw in good luck and affectionate vibes. Healing and health are also part of its domain. Paracelsus, the famous physician and alchemist, claimed an elixir of lemon balm could rejuvenate and prolong life. Consequently, magical practices include lemon balm and healing charms to increase vitality and chase away illness on an energetic level. Some witches plant lemon balm around their home or beehives to promote prosperity and healthy pollinators. As a lunar herb, lemon balm has a subtle psychic aspect. It can be used to enhance intuition and calm the mind for divination. A cup of lemon balm tea before scrying or meditating under the moonlight is thought to open the third eye softly, allowing gentle visions or intuitive feelings. It's a common ingredient in dream pillows or psychic vision oils, paired with things like mugwort and lavender, because it raises the vibration, but in a soothing way. In Hoodoo and Latin America, lemon balm, sometimes called ruta hembra, though that can be confused with rue, is used in spiritual baths for love, joy, and to attract admirers. It sweetens one's aurora, much like sugar in a jar spell. The neural and physiological effects. Lemon balm is well known in herbal medicines for its calming and mood lifting effects, which correlate strongly with its magical uses for emotional healing and positivity. Pharmacologically, lemon balm contains compounds such as rosmarinic acid, citral, and geraniol. I'm saying that correct. These constituents contribute to its anxiolytic, anxiety reducing, and mild sedative effects. Clinical studies have demonstrated that lemon balm extract can significantly reduce anxiety and improve sleep quality in people with anxiety disorder. It appears to work by modulating GABA receptors in the brain. Rosmarinic acid inhibits the GABA transaminase, increasing GABA availability, which promotes calmness, similar to how benzodiazepine drugs increase GABA's effect. Therefore, consuming lemon balm tea or tincture directly soothes the nervous system, lowering feelings of stress and agitation. One trial with healthy volunteers found that lemon balm not only reduced subjective anxiety, but also improved cognitive task performance. Interestingly, it can calm you without impairing your thinking. This alert calm is likely due to a balance of its cholinergic and GABAergic effects. Like its relative sage, lemon balm also has some acetylcholine receptor activity. I fucked that up. It's been observed to enhance memory and alertness in small doses. In fact, a controlled study at Northumbria University in 2004 found improved memory and attention of participants who took lemon balm along with increased calmness. So lemon balm's effects on the brain is adaptogenic in a sense. It can reduce anxiety while boosting cognitive function. There is a rare combination that justifies its historical use for uplifting the spirit without overstimulation. Lemon balm also raises serotonin levels in animal studies, which can explain its mood brightening properties. Many people simply feel happier after lemon balm, hence its chase melancholy. On a sensory level, lemon balm's bright lemony scent via the olfactory nerve is invigorating, yet not harsh. Citral, the lemon scent compound, is known to be mood enhancing, used in aromatherapy for depression. Inhaling lemon balm essential oil can thus produce a quick sense of refreshment and slight euphoria. Citrus smells tend to spike dopamine. Meanwhile, the undertone of mint, it's in the mint family, adds a gentle cooling aspect through the trigeminal nerve, some menthol presence. So lemon balm aroma might simultaneously be calm via trigeminal cooling and uplift via olfactory citrus. Regarding the heart and body, lemon balm has mild cardiotropic effects. It's traditionally used to slow an over-rapid heartbeat and lower blood pressure in anxious states. Scientific research supports that lemon balm can cause a modest reduction in blood pressure and heart rate by calming sympathetic nervous activity, likely through baroreceptor reflex by reducing anxiety. It is also antispasmodic on smooth muscles, so it relieves stomach cramps and menstrual cramps, tying to its nurturing aspect, comforting physical pain as well as emotional. These effects are mediated by peripheral nerves, including the vagus nerve, by increasing vagal tone, parasympathetic activity. Lemon balm helps relax the gut and uterus. It's no wonder a warm lemon balm tea is a folk remedy for tummy aches and a calming tonic before bed. It gently encourages digestive via vagal stimulation, often relieving indigestion that's due to stress. Another notable effect, lemon balm has some antiviral properties, especially against herpes virus and atypical use, as well as antibacterial due to citral and other compounds. Applied as a
Good to
solvent.
know.
Huh?
Good to know.
Applied as a solvent, it can help cold sores heals or solve, however you say that. Lemon balm also reduces the time to fall asleep and improves sleep quality, likely by its GABAergic sedation and anxiety relief. This complements its lunar association in magic, aiding restful sleep and possibly encouraging good dreams. As for cognitive dream states, lemon balm likely doesn't induce the vivid, intense dreams that mugwort might, but rather softens nightmares and allows more peaceful dream narratives, reflecting its gentle positivity. Summarizing lemon balm's neurological impact is largely tranquilizing and mood normal. It gently slows an overactive mind, lifts a depressed mind, and sharpens a foggy mind, essentially restoring balance. Biochemically, it's doing this by influencing GABA for calm, acetylcholine for memory, and possibly serotonin, dopamine for mood. It's quite elegant that an herb used for emotional healing and love literally causes your brain to feel safe, lowered anxiety, and feel content, elevated mood, which are prerequisites for embracing love and joy. The way it lowers stress markers would correspond in magical thinking to banishing dark influences from the heart, and the way it improves cognitive clarity would equate to bringing light and understanding. It's also gentle enough not to cause radical shifts, fitting for an herb of gentle renewal rather than drastic transformation. Lemon balm is the subtle friend that over time rebuilds a battered spirit by quieting the fear centers, amygdala, and nudging the pleasure centers, nucleus accumbens, etc. Thus, the nerves literally find relief from tension and can resume normal, healthy function, which we perceive as hope and cheerfulness returning. Anything before I move on?
Yeah, I would say that pretty much any formulation that would be recommended for a woman pre and approaching and post-menopausal, like they always include Melissa officinalis for sure. Pretty much every single one I've ever read about.
Behind it.
Yeah, like a tea, a tincture, like any kind of formulation that you would give to a woman that came reporting complaints of being a woman includes lemon balm. So that checks for sure.
All right. Anybody else? No? All
No,
right.
I see why it's my favorite. Thanks for the information, man. I mean, alert, calm, increased alert, decreased anxiety, and increased intuition. Yeah.
It's going to get rid of those cramps too, Jason.
I've got two girls in the house, so
Oh,
all valid and valuable information.
and it helps with your feminine side too. So let's not
Exactly,
hide it.
Ricardo. It's my most valuable side.
Yeah.
How do you think I can stand to talk to you so long, you handsome devil? You just make my liver quiver. Whoa.
Well, I was suspicious of that. I was.
What is happening?
Okay.
I think we
Anyway,
have to thank In Living Color for that one. There was a skit on when I was a kid. I'm serious. And remember they did the gay guys? And so all the kids in
I
my
remember
school,
that skit.
yeah, I remember they loved that. And so my buddy and I started doing the impressions, and the girls loved it. I mean, what can I say? Take you home and put you on a biscuit, and the girls would just, they were all over it, man. Sorry.
It's the
Ricardo,
sugar.
in your handsome face, you keep side railing us now. You with that comfortable lounge chair, which I want.
Oh, I'm
by the
sorry. I
way.
just can't help it. It's my natural charm. What can I say?
Did y'all notice that he blinks with one eye a lot? Is that just me?
what?
Or-
Do I?
So you're winking at me. Is that it? I knew you were winking at me.
I got my eye on you, Jason.
I had some lemon balm as well.
Okay. You want me to continue? All right, I'm going to jump over to St. John's wort. St. John's wort has a long history of use in folk magic, especially for protection and banishment of evil. In European folklore, it was often hung above doorways or icons to ward off malign spirits. One Latin nickname for it is fuga daemonium, meaning demon flight, reflecting its reputed power to drive away devils. Traditionally harvested around midsummer, or St. John's Day, its bright yellow flowers were said to embody the power of the sun. Bringing the fresh blossoms into the home on Midsummer's Eve was thought to confer protective and good fortune. Witches and healers also carried St. John's wort as a protective talisman against hexes and ill wishes. Burning St. John's wort in bundles produces a purifying smoke. The dry herb was and still is burned to banish negativity and evil influences from a space. In modern witchcraft, it's associated with the element of fire and the summer sun, used in spells to invoke courage, happiness, and strength. In short, St. John's wort has been regarded as a bright guardian herb, simultaneously a physical wound healer and a spiritual protector capable of dispelling darkness. Neurological effects. The venerable reputation of St. John's wort as a balm for the nerves aligns with its scientifically observed effects on the nervous system. Medicinally, it is the most famous as an herbal antidepressant and anxiolytic. Biochemical studies show that extracts of St. John's wort inhibit reuptake of several neurotransmitters: serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, GABA, and glutamate, and even modulate receptors expression. Of particular interest, it has an effect on the vagus nerve, the major parasympathetic nerve connecting brainstem to heart, lungs, and gut. Research has demonstrated that St. John's wort can enhance vagal nerve activity. In vitro experiments found the herb increases glutamate release from vagal nerve endings in the brain's nucleus of the solitary tract, effectively boosting vagal neurotransmission. This suggests that St. John's wort can activate parasympathetic pathways that regulate homeostasis, heart rate, and digestion, which may partly explain its calming, mood-stabilizing influence. Clinically, St. John's wort has been used to relieve neuralgia, nerve pain, and reduce anxiety and tension. The herb's active compound, hyperforin, appears to contribute to its antidepressant effect by increasing neurotransmitter availability. Thus, St. John's wort not only chases away demons in a metaphorical sense, but also alleviates inner darkness by acting on the central nervous system. By enhancing vagus nerve signaling and modulating neurochemistry, it induces a state of calm and optimism consistent with its role in magic as a bringer of light and protection. Modern research continues to explore St. John's wort neuropharmacology, but it's clear this magical herb doubles as a nervine, uplifting mood, soothing the anxious mind, and perhaps even strengthening the autonomic balance via the vagus nerve. All right, I'm good on that. Anybody want to say anything? I'll move on to the mandrake. It's another one of my favorites. The mandrake. Mandrake is one of the most iconic plants in witchcraft, shrouded in legend and fear. Its forked root often resembles a human figure, which led to the famous myth that when pulled from the ground, it would emit a deadly scream, a folklore motif dating back to at least Josephus in the 1st century and repeated by Iron Maiden in Moonchild, Hear the Mandrake Scream. In medieval Europe, mandrake roots were prized as a powerful magical talisman. A whole mandrake root, sometimes carved into a human shape if nature's form was lacking, might be kept as a household charm for prosperity and protection, even fed with offerings as a familiar spirit. Mandrake was a key ingredient in many flying ointment recipes, salves that witches applied to induce trance states, astral projection, or visionary flights. These ointments capitalized on mandrake's entheogenic, vision-inducing, tropine alkaloids to produce mind-altering experiences. In ancient Mediterranean cultures, mandrake roots were used as aphrodisiacs and fertility charms. It appears in the Bible's book of Genesis 30:14 as a fertility aid. During the Renaissance, cunning folk would prepare mandrake amulets, often called alrums in German folklore, said to bring great riches and serve their owner as a magical servant. Now, the neurological effects, the extraordinary myths around mandrake are rooted in a very real physiological effect. Mandrake contains tropane, if I'm saying that correctly, alkaloids, notably hyoscine, or scopolamine, atropine, and others, which are powerful deliriant hallucinogens and anticholinergic agents. These compounds act on the nervous system in profound ways. Scopolamine and atropine block acetylcholine receptors, specifically muscarinic receptors, through the body, including in the brain and in the parasympathetic nervous system. The result is a host of neurological and autonomic effects, often dubbed belladonna delirium. Mandrake is the nightshade family along with belladonna. Physiologically, mandrake's alkaloids can impair several cranial nerve functions by inhibiting parasympathetic signaling. For instance, blocking the oculomotor nerve, third one, outputs causes pupils to dilate and accommodation to be lost. Atropine was historically used to dilate pupils unsafely. Blocking facial, the 7th, and glossal, these words, glossal pharyngeal, or whatever, I'm saying that wrong, the 9th parasympathetic fibers reduces salivation. So you get dry mouth as a classic symptom of mandrake poisoning. And blocking the vagus nerve can raise heart rate and inhibit digestive peristalsis. In higher doses, mandrake alkaloids cross into central nervous system, causing hallucinations, confusions, and sedation. Users of witchcraft flying potions would experience vivid hallucinations, often feeling as if they were flying or entering otherworldly realms, due to mandrake's action on the brain neurotransmitters. Mandrake was also used as a soporific anesthetic in ancient medicine. The Assyrians, Greeks, and others used mandrake extracts to induce deep sleep for surgery or anesthesia. This points to mandrake's depressant effect on the central nervous system at appropriate dosages, likely involving suppression of neural firing and pain pathways. Notably, scopolamine has an antiemetic and calming effect on the vestibular system, associated with the cranial nerve 8, which is why scopolamine from a relative plant is used in modern motion sickness patches. In mandrake's case, a dose sufficient to calm a sedate could easily lead to toxicity. Symptoms of mandrake poisoning include dizziness, vision disturbances, dry mucous membranes, rapid heartbeat, and unconsciousness, reflecting its broad neurological impact. In essence, mandrake can hijack the autonomic nerves. It powerfully inhibits the parasympathetic outflow, the vagus nerve included, while also causing delirium via central cholinergic blockage. The flight experienced by witches may have been their minds reacting to vestibular disconnect and hallucinations caused by mandrake. Mandrake's power over life and death in magic mirrors its pharmacology reality. The same root that can numb pain and bring on dreamlike trances can, in overdose, arrest the vagus-controlled functions, like respirations, and be lethal.
So I was hearing you, and this popped into my mind at the beginning. Could it be that the Venus figurines are somewhat related to the mandrake roots? Because sometimes they look very similar.
Wait, say that again? I'm sorry.
The Venus figurines, the ancient statues of stone of the fat ladies.
Oh, yeah.
She's
They
curvy.
look like
She's
mandrake.
voluptuous.
They look like some mandrake roots that I've seen.
They
I was
do.
just thinking
You're right.
if there is some connection there.
I've never put that together before.
Mhm. Neither
But
did I.
Somebody get Nick some ginger.
Yeah, fuck, sorry. I hit the wrong mute button too. Sorry.
But it could be a symbol of magic, of ritual, because of the effects that it has, right?
I never thought of it as looking at it as a female. I've always just saw it as like a hangman or a stick figure.
A quick question, Nick. So after listening to that horrific list of not quite deadly effects, what are some of the actual practical applications of mandrake?
I have
What
heard
are they
people
used
burning
for?
it, but like in an incense or actually just putting it on their altar.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never heard of anybody ingesting it. I mean, I be honest, I had mandrake in the past and I threw it on charcoal and mixed it in shit. I mean, I didn't know what the fuck.
It's not something that you find in a lot of formulations or and any that I know.
It's a rarer one.
That I can think of in particular. What I do know about it is that the dose, like the dosage range between having an effect that is non-toxic and one that is toxic is very small.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
So the amount that you need, it would probably be based on like how you're ingesting it and based on your weight, and the amount that is safe to ingest versus the amount that is unsafe to ingest is likely very, very, very close. So it's probably not something you want to be messing around with. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. How much time have we got? Maybe I do one more. I don't know how much more you want me to go on.
We got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I'm going to do? Hyssop. It was one that I was going to leave out. It's a little bit of a longer one, but it's actually one of my favorite, and I used to use it all the time. And I think it interestingly is the reason I even picked it up is that it was in one of Crowley's works, and the guy literally is taking a quote out of the Bible when he uses it too. I don't even think half the people realize that.
We usually don't.
Yeah. Hyssop, again, it's known as a biblical purifier and remover of negativity. And this is exactly part of what I would use or say when I would use this stuff. Purge me with hyssop and I shall be clean, says Psalm 51, encapsulating hyssop's millennial-old reputation as the premier herb of spiritual purification. In biblical and folk tradition, hyssop is used to cleanse and consecrate. It was referenced as being dipped in holy water or blood to sprinkle doorposts in the Old Testament, Exodus, protecting the Hebrews during Passover. Thus, hyssop became a symbol of purification from sin or evil. Today, magicians and root workers rely on hyssop in rituals of uncrossing, hex breaking, and ritual cleansing. In hoodoo, hyssop is the main ingredient in the famous 13th herb bath for spiritual purification, especially after one has engaged in negative deeds or performed coercive magic. One bathes in hyssop infusion, praying Psalm 51 to remove spiritual dirt and regain God's favor. Hyssop can be added to scrub water to literally and spiritually clean floors and walls of temples. It's common to use hyssop in water to wash magical implements or to add to laundry for ritual garments, believing it infuses them with holiness. Likewise, burning hyssop as an incense or carrying a hyssop sachet is thought to ward off evil and negativity, almost akin to a spiritual disinfectant. Because hyssop has strong religious connotation, it is often used when one seeks forgiveness or blessing. Practitioners might take a hyssop bath after casting a nasty spell to cleanse any karmic residue. Wiccans may use hyssop to ritually purify a circle, or if they feel a malevolent presence needs to be banished gently. Some sources state hyssop is good for protection of the home, growing it around the property, or hanging dried hyssop in sachets by windows by windows is said to keep out unclean spirits. In Solomonic magical tradition, hyssop was used to sprinkle lustral water to sanctify the altar and circle, again highlighting that theme as pure as hyssop. It's worth noting historically that the hyssop of the Bible might have been a different plant, possibly Syrian oregano, but the occult tradition has long identified common hyssop was the biblical one, and the energetic signature is considered similar, aromatic and cleansing. Magical correspondences list hyssop as a Mars herb due to its disinfectant and banishing quality, but with a Jupiter overtone, spiritual grace and forgiveness, perhaps explaining why it both casts out uncleanness, Mars, and invites divine blessing, Jupiter. Astrologically, some align it with Sagittarius, the sign of spiritual principles and cleansing fire. Many covens add hyssop oil to their holy water to incorporate hyssop in the sprinkler to consecrate circles. The neuro and physiological effects. While hyssop is less studied than many common herbs, it shares properties with other aromatic Mediterranean herbs like sage, thyme, or oregano that allow some educated guesses and a few known facts. Chemically, hyssop contains a volatile oil including pinacanthone, if I'm saying that right, thujone camphor, and cineol, among others. These components suggest hyssop is a stimulant in small doses and potentially convulsant in very high doses. If overused, historically, hyssop oil causes seizures in animals at high concentrations. However, in the mild forms it's used, bathing, incense, and tea, hyssop's effect is to act as a mild nervine and decongestant. The scent of hyssop is herbaceous and camphorous. Inhaling hyssop via incense or stream inhalation can clear the sinuses and give a sense of easy breathing and alertness, similar to how eucalyptus or camphor perks one up. This would stimulate trigeminal nerve endings in the nasal cavity strongly, which has the effect of sharpened attention and a feeling of freshness. If one is fatigued or the mind is clouded, hyssop's aroma can cut through the mental fog, momentarily increasing heart rate and blood flow. This correlates to the idea of clearing away negativity. Physically, it's clearing brain fog, and maybe mild headaches, as camphor often relieves tension headaches via its counter-irritant action on the trigeminal nerve. On the limbic system, hyssop's aroma may not be universally pleasant. It's a bit medicinal. But to those who like it, it could evoke feelings of cleanliness and safety, which could reduce amygdala hyperactivity, less fear, less anxiety. No direct studies on hyssop for anxiety exist, to my knowledge, but many herbs in the same family, in the mint family, do have anxiolytic properties. Hyssop tea was traditionally used for respiratory issues. It can help suppress coughs and loosen phlegm. So drinking hyssop or breathing it in not only symbolically cleanses your lungs, it literally does some to an extent. This lung clarity can translate to a subjective feeling of relief and more oxygen, improving brain function and mood. Pinocanthone, if I'm saying that correctly, or pinocanthone, is somewhat antispasmodic, which could help relieve muscle tension, again, contributing to an overall sense of release. Hyssop's antimicrobial qualities are notable. It affects against certain bacteria and fungi. Using hyssop in a floor wash or as a skin wash likely genuinely reduces microbial load, thus purifying in a literal sense. This could reduce source of infection, which could cloud the mind via inflammation. In modern terms, lowering chronic pathogen load can improve mood and cognitive clarity. Now, if we think of neurotransmitters, hyssop has been studied for direct receptor interactions like some herbs. But given it's in the mint family, one might speculate some GABAergic effect is mild, or adrenaline modulation. Its effect profile, modally stimulating but also relieving when used in warmth, suggested biphasic action. At the first bit of stimulation, increased alertness, maybe mild adrenaline release from the trigeminal jolt, followed by relaxation as the body acclimates and peripheral circulation improves, perhaps then parasympathetic rebound. This is similar to how a cleansing cry or brisk shower can invigorate then relax you deeply. Fitting for hyssop, which is used in water for that exact emotional dynamic. First, you might tremble as negativity is confronted, adrenaline flush. Then you feel deeply calm as it washes away, parasympathetic relief. Hyssop's psychological actions align with its cleansing, banishing magical persona. It clears airways, banishing congestion, stimulates alertness, banishing mental cloud, kills germs, banishing impurity, relaxes muscle and smooth muscle, banishing physical tension or negativity held in the body, and possibly calms after stimulation, granting peace after sin is banished. The ritual aspect of sprinkling or bathing likely leverages the fact that cool water and hyssop on skin trigger nerve endings that induce a slight shock followed by calm, essentially resetting the nervous system much like a baptism's cold water might. Indeed, from a sensory perspective, being sprinkled by hyssop bundle in a cool holy water would activate a lot of cutaneous nerves suddenly. The initial shock could momentarily blank out your thoughts, much like a splash of water to the face interrupts whatever you're thinking, providing a clean slate. And then, as you feel the water trickling, the scent of hyssop, you take a deep breath, naturally transitioning into a calmer state. This small psychological mini reset of the nervous system is perhaps one reason such rituals subjectively feel effective. They harness an involuntary nerve reflex to symbolically achieve the desired mental state. And then, thus, the hyssop's power is partly a suggestion, yes, but underpinned by real sensory and neural triggers. It's fascinating and poetic that the pleas of ancient texts to be cleansed with hyssop coincide with an herb that can truly cleanse the body and mind in measurable ways. In conclusion, hyssop engages our nerves in a purging and resetting process. A quick stimulation, then a clearing calm. Analogous to spiritual purification's arc of facing the negativity, then expelling it and finding stillness. The result is a person who literally feels lighter, breathes easier, and has a clearer mind, paralleling the spiritual feeling of being absolved and protected. Hyssop is a sterling example of an herb whose legendary magical effects align uncannily with its neurophysical actions. The herbs of the Bible knew their stuff. Anybody want to say anything on that one as I look for a different one?
I've used I had a bad lung infection, a lot of phlegm, like the gross kind. We've all had it, so we know what I'm talking about. And used an elderberry and hyssop cough expectorant, and it's no joke. It works so good. It worked. It was so fast. Like, you know, when you get a cold and you go, or like an infection, and you get something from the doctor, they give you an antibiotic, and it takes a couple of days for it to really kind of loosen it and go. This cough syrup that I found that I used, it was like I was up all through the night, but by the morning, my chest was clear. Like, so it's super effective. So it doesn't surprise me that given the medicinal properties that it has, that it's equated with a herb that clears or cleans, or, you know, people use it ritually as a way to clear a space.
Yeah.
Definitely lines up for me.
Nick, can you give me
Cool.
the spelling of that?
HYSSOP, I think it is. Sorry, I already skipped up so far from where it was.
Plus, it looks like it kind of looks like lavender. A lot
Yeah.
of people plant it as like a in their garden because it's pretty, because it has like these little dainty purple flowers, very similar to lavender. So, and it grows like it grows like mad. You don't have to do anything to it. So I know a lot of people plant it just for the sake of what it looks like.
What I'm taking for all that Nick presented here is, and from what Jacqueline said, all of these herbs seemed like, for instance, the last one you described as antispasmodic, but 3 minutes before you said it can lead into seizures. So it's every single one of them seems to have a threshold where they can either help you or they can actually kill you or lead into serious health problems. So it's that threshold that I find interesting, because in some of them, as Jacqueline said, it's so small. It could be just a gram of it. Above that, it will be highly toxic, and beneath that, it will help you. So it's the duality present in all of these elements that we can take in that it fascinates me, because they have dual purposes. It depends on how you want to use it. You can use it for good or you can use it for evil. It's just it's like the nature is telling you, here it is, now show us what you want to do with it.
Well, the same is true for water. I mean, you need it to live, but too much will kill you. So
Yeah.
So everything is about balance then.
true.
Need a count for balance. 5, 4, 3. Fucking. No Scent of a Woman fans? Okay, it's just me. Al Pacino.
What?
He's about to kill himself in the bathroom, and Chris, is trying to save him. He says, "I'm going to do it. You need a count for balance. 5, 4, 3. Fuck it." And he gets it right there, and he runs in and gets the gun, and they wrestle to the ground. What do you? It's a great movie. Watch it every Thanksgiving, actually.
Jason, what
have
have
to
you
add that
told
in.
you about the salvia before you coming into
It's
the
the lemon
sessions?
balm, dude. It's the lemon balm.
Lemon.
It's this
the lemon balm.
alert relaxedness
lemon
that
balm.
gets you in trouble every time, man.
A lemon balm made me do it.
I know. And it
There we
gives you
go.
the sense memory of 3rd grade because it smells like the lemon head candies, that you used to suck on to stay awake in
Ooh.
church. So it's
Yeah.
powerful stuff, that lemon balm.
All right. I think I'll do one more, and we'll see where we're at after this one. I picked this one especially for you again, Ricardo. Actually, skip down for this one. The yew tree. The yew tree is steeped in magic, in myth and magic, as a symbol of death, rebirth, and the gateway to the other world. Often found in ancient graveyards, yews can live for millennia, which gave them an aura of immortality, even as their dark foliage and poisonous nature linked them to mortality. In Celtic and Germanic lore, yew is considered as one of the most powerful trees. It was one of the sacred chieftain trees of Ireland and is associated with ancestor communion and funerary rites. Magically, yew wood or needles are used for ancestral magic and spirit communication. For instance, burning a small piece of yew or placing it on the altar is thought to help bridge the living and the dead, inviting ancestral guidance, but always with caution due to yew's powerful vibrations. Yew also serves as a protective charm. Sprigs of yew were buried with the dead to guard their souls and planted around graveyards to contain restless spirits. This translates into magical practice as using yew to ward off evil spirits and negative energies, especially those connected with death or curses. For example, a wand made of yew is traditionally considered extremely potent for banishing and necromantic work, capable of commanding spirits. In legend, witches and sorcerers often had yew staffs. In the 19th century magical orders, yew was sometimes included in rituals of transformation or ego death to symbolize the shedding of the old self and the rebirth of the initiate, a direct echo of the tree's evergreen life amidst death imagery. Yew's dual aspect, toxic yet long-lived, made it a symbol of life and death. Some sources note that carrying a bit of yew can make one invisible or protected from physical harm. This is echoed by the myth that wearing a sprig of yew can let one walk in the underworld unseen by its dangers. Yew wood has been used to carve runes and talismans for powerful protection and magical potency. Notably, the Norse runes, Awaz is the yew rune, representing the world tree connecting worlds, as well as defense and transcendence. Magically, this rune and the wood itself are invoked for shamanic journeys, accessing past lives or ancestral memories, and enduring great trials. Yew is also tied to Hecate and the underworld deities, In Roman rites, wreaths of Jew adorned sacrifices to Hecate, emphasizing its role in dark moon sorcery and crossroads magic. In witchcraft today, Yu is approached with respect. It's included in spell work that deals with serious transitions, binding or reversing death cures, and communicating with the departed. Always with the caveat of its toxicity, both literally and energetically. Some witches anoint candles with Yu-infused oil for Samhain to honor and invite ancestors. Yu is thus quintessential crone tree, embodying ancient wisdom, the power of endings and beginnings, and the deep protection that comes from understanding death. To use Yu magically is to invoke very old chthonic forces. It can defend against malignant spirits, though its deathly power, which they fear, and facilitate profound transformation. The neurological effects. The Yew tree is infamous for its toxicity, containing alkaloids, taxine A and B, that are potent cardiotoxins and also affect the nervous system. In physiological terms, ingesting yew, even small amounts of leaves or seeds, can cause serious disruption of the autonomic nervous system and cardiac conduction. Taxine alkaloids primarily block calcium channels in heart and nerve cells, leading to outcomes like, these were bradycardia, a slow heart rate, hypertension, and eventually lethal heart block. From a neurological perspective, one of the hallmark signs of yew poisoning is trembling and convulsions prior to collapse. These neurological disturbances, shaking, muscle spasms, indicate that yew's compounds are affecting the central nervous system's control of muscle function, likely by causing an imbalance of electrolytes in neurons due to channel blocking, leading to erratic firing. Yew also seems to depress the respiratory center in the medulla, part of the brainstem. Many poisoning cases note difficulty breathing and eventually respiratory failure. The respiratory center is governed by the vagus nerve, among others, and indeed yew's effects is to effectively overstimulate and crash the vagal system. Initial poisoning can cause nausea and vomiting, vagus-activated digestive purge, and later a dangerous vagal tone drop, leading to collapse. Thus, yew can at first trigger a massive parasympathetic surge, hence vomiting, diarrhea as the body tries to expel it, and those of vagus-mediated reflexes, followed by parasympathetic failure as the heart and brain become starved of oxygen due to conduction block. Neurologically, one could say yew initially hyperexcites certain nerve pathways, causing tremors and GI evacuation, then silences them permanently, leading to loss of consciousness, cessation of breathing, and death. There's also some evidence that yew's toxins can cross into the brain and cause seizure-like activity, or at least severe confusion. On a similar non-lethal scale, being around a yew or handling it has minimal neural effect. The toxins must be ingested to cause harm. Though there are anecdotes of headaches or a heavy feeling when sitting under very old yew trees, possibly psychological, but some people suggest volatile compounds or even low cyanide content of seeds could cause slight issue. Interestingly, in homeopathy, microdoses of yew, referred to as taxus peccata, have been used to treat certain neuralgies and heart palpitations. This is highly speculative, but it implies that in extremely low doses, yew might modulate nerve signals, perhaps by a mild calcium channel modulation that could calm an overactive nerve, akin to how modern calcium channel blockers can prevent migraines. Of course, homeopathic dosing is too dilute to have direct pharmacological effect, so it's more symbolic. But it's a curious point. Yew's capacity to block nerve conduction could, in a controlled minuscule form, dampen excessive nerve firing, like preventing arrhythmia or pain signals. This aligns with yew's magical attribute of binding or stopping harmful forces. Physiologically, it literally stops the heart and nerves. We might say neurologically, yew is the ultimate inhibitor. It stops life's electrical signals. That is the extreme. Symbolically, in magic, that becomes a tool to stop negative energy. If we anthropomorphize use effects on our nervous system, it is to bring us to the threshold of death, the cessation of neural activity. And if harnessed carefully, a small ritual exposure, perhaps it could induce a near-death trance state where perception of the beyond is possible. Indeed, some have speculated that ancient oracles might have inhaled fumes from burning you, risky, or brewed super diluted potions to enter a trance, essentially flirting with the shutdown of the nervous system to glean visions of the afterlife. Modern evidence of anything like that is scant because you is so dangerous, but thematically it fits. On the safer side, just being around the venerable you can have psychological effects. One might feel a deep calm or stillness. Some describe a peculiar quietness in you grows. This could be purely psychological or perhaps extremely low exposure to toxins from crushed leaves in the air, causing subtle slowing of the body's functions, similar to a very mild sedative effect. Perhaps you and the environment could slightly depress heart rate or blood pressure, reinforcing that calm feeling. In any case, Yu's neurological signature is silence. It silences nerves both peripherally, heart and gut, and centrally, breath and consciousness. It is the antithesis of excitation. In magical thinking, that's exactly how Yu holds the dead, by keeping the living signals at bay. If used magically, a practitioner might incorporate that quality. Use Yu to freeze an enemy's action, stop their nervous impetus, or enter a meditative state so deep it mimics death, slowing one's heart rate and breath via trance aided by Yu's presence. Similarly, from a physiological vantage, Yu embodies the concept of death through its nervous system's effects. It drains away neural fire until nothing remains. This profound quieting of the life impulses can be deadly physically, but spiritually encountering that energy in a controlled ritual can be transformative, akin to a symbolic death of the old self leading to rebirth. Thus, an extremely cautious, skilled magical practice, one might carefully tune into Yu's neurological resonance to achieve a state of deep stillness, boundary between life and death, essentially stimulating a near-death neural pattern which could make the veil to the other side perceptible. It's intense and not to be toyed with, precisely matching Yu's reputation as a powerful, solemn tree of the darkest magic and brightest resurrection. And that's it on that one.
So I wonder, considering what you said, could it be used in microdoses to treat epilepsy, for instance, because it's the firing of the brain by reducing it? Because I never heard it.
Yeah, it's like
applied
some
for that.
lower doses of benzodiazepines will stop alcoholics from seizing. Yeah, you see what you're saying? Yeah, something like that.
That's interesting because I was thinking while you were talking, I was like, this kind of sounds like a migraine related thing. So, and a lot of seizure medications double as a migraine medication off label. So there's that.
Yeah, but
relatability.
let's avoid using it if we can. Okay.
Oh, it does
Yeah.
not sound like a good time.
No,
it doesn't. No.
So-
I maybe it was used in the past to simulate someone's death. Probably, if you want others to believe
It
that
might
that
help
person
or
is
you
dying.
might die.
Yeah, that's why they say you take this and they'll believe you're dead, but you might actually be dead. So
I'm familiar with you from the Japanese art of bonsai. It's popular in that. So I guess I was a bit worried at first when you're given all the bad traits, but yeah, the meditative qualities and all that makes sense. Why it would be an excellent tree for a meditative hobby. Listen, I don't know if you're done with the herbs, but I had one question, technical note, as I'm looking through my notes here. So the common theme I hear are effects on the vagus nerve, but I don't have but maybe a kindergartner's understanding of even what the vagus nerve does for us. So can you elaborate on that and why it is all of these herbs seem to affect that system?
Well, it goes from like the brain all the way down to the gut, or I think even lower. It was something that I started coming across recently. I mean, because I look at magic a little bit differently or symbolism a little bit differently than most people. I think a lot of it does tie to the body. And I started recently just looking at the nervous system as possibly angels because they're traveling messages. And I realized that that one does go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So I started looking at that one a lot because that would be very Hode-like. Again, you have a hermaphrodite that's even symbolized with that idea. Both sides. He's a traveler. Goes back and forth from Hode. Could be Hermes or Thoth. Be there. So I wanted to look into it. I had a feeling the vagus nerve, just for those reasons, might come up in occult stuff. And then I realized, like, for some reason, I was just thinking, like, well, the easy way to start fucking with that would be through herbs. And I knew that, again, like, if it's going through that whole part of the body, that's why, like, when I'm mentioning your gut and your breathing, can both be affected, is because it's fucking going all the way from here, all the way down there. And there's just other things about the cranial nerves, in my opinion, certain stuff with the initiations that I have been through with the OTO. I do think that they are pointing at part of the cranial nerves. So that was another reason why I decided to even look at this. But I mean, the vagus nerve, again, I was interested in that because I do know it also has something to do with respiration. When I first started doing this, I actually was just going on that angle. And then I had started realizing some of them hit, like, honestly, some of the ones I left out, there's ones that hit like 3 of them at the same time. I mean, I've gone over some of them, but I have left other ones out that are actually a little bit more, just as interesting, or maybe more to it than I've covered. So, like, again, like the vagus nerve, I knew because of the respiration. I was kind of interested in that because it is, again, not to reiterate, my opinion is, again, a near-death experience, or, something to flatliners, like that movie. That's real. And I think that these herbs might be used to aid that.
Right.
Anybody got any questions?
I don't know if that helped at all. The
It
original.
did, man.
All right.
The vagus nerve, Jason, the vagus nerve is probably like among the most active nerves, cranial nerves. It's the longest nerve, like Nick said. It helps to, it's involved in everything from, like he said, respiration, lungs, heart, and certainly digestive tract. So because it is so long and it's crucial to the autonomic and parasympathetic nervous system, it's I think you could say the most active nerve. And also being the longest means it has the most number of branches. And all the other cranial nerves kind of in some way or another would work in tandem or directly with the vagus nerve. For instance, like if you can envision inside your head, like it comes up along the side of the face on both sides and runs down into all the way down to the digestive tract. In comparison, the olfactory nerve, which obviously has to do with your nose and smelling, that's the shortest. So it's only like, it just has such a short path to travel up into the cranium, right from the nose. So
I think another reason why I was interested by it too, just to add on to that, is the way it follows your body. To me, was like a lot like how I forgot the name of the fluid, but there's a fluid that goes in back of your eye that actually will follow a female all the way down to the womb, or it's even in us. So, like, to me, I was just like, that's just another thing that I just found that interesting, how they both kind of like almost follow each other that whole way. So, thought maybe there's something up with that.
Is this, Jacqueline? So we hear a lot about the connection between the gut and the brain. Even now the scientists are basically saying it's like the second brain. Is this because of the vagus nerve? Is that the main communicating element between the gut and the brain, I guess, then?
it would be like the major pathway between the brain and
Right.
the digestive tract, right? So it's carrying all the signals from the brain to the major organs like the heart, lungs, and all the different parts of your digestive tract.
That was
If you ask anyone who's studied physiology extensively, you have a brain and that's essential, yes, and we have all these organs which help facilitate life, but you are your digestive tract completely.
Right.
They're
So that
We're
is that
snakes with
is that why
accessories,
is that why it's said that you are what you eat?
Yeah.
Yes.
right. Also, a reason why I had even got interested in the Vegas, vagus nerve when I realize, what it was about more. From experiences that I have when I said that, it literally feels like you could feel like the energy leaving you. Seeing how far that nerve goes, I was just like, could it be possible that when you are starting to see, come out of your skin suit, maybe you will actually feel that? And interesting, like how she mentioned the gut and the heart in the Gnostic Mass and the OTO, when the priest comes out, at some point he does like slice his stomach and then slice his heart. I think he might do his neck eventually, but it's like almost kind of like the major areas where the vagus nerve actually affects. So I started like thinking, I was like, yo, am I onto something? So that's, the reason why I looked into that. And then I was like, well, it makes sense to just do all 12 cranial nerves. Why am I only going to stick with one?
I know that the vagus nerve has come up a lot on my, and I hate to keep bringing up my migraine journey, but I feel like that's interconnected. And one of the, therapies that I've looked into is like the resetting of the vagus nerve. And there's actually like exercises, movements that you can do that reset that. So that's worth looking into if anyone's interested in that. It doesn't stop it. It doesn't like fix a migraine, but it can stop one from happening if one is coming on, or like a seizure or any type of neurological episode. Resetting your vagus nerve is a great thing to try because it costs nothing and you can just do it right where you are. So check those out.
Does that involve running with your head towards the wall and becoming consciousness, or?
No, that comes later. That's if the resetting of the vagus nerve doesn't work, then you run into the wall.
Larry, you want me to hit him with a flip flop? You got any handy over there?
I got one somewhere around here, but
We need to get a
sling
merch.
this
We
holy
need to get
water.
a cannon in the merch store. Get a little flip flop cannon.
I'm gonna just start bringing holy water on here and flinging it at him. Like,
Which we learned we can make with roses.
I was
Thanks to
going to say,
Nate.
use rose and hyssop.
see, there we go. Learn something new every day.
I did not know how to make holy water. Yeah, I feel thoroughly equipped to go.
Oh, there's actually like if you were there's actual recipe, I think, like the Catholic churches use. Like I think there's like salt or something. I used to actually, it's so funny. I was a ceremonial magician. One time I didn't even realize, and I was like, I can't believe I just did this. I noticed as I was walking out of the place, it must have recently been to Salem, so I was wearing like a Salem hoodie, and I had a Catholic church a few blocks away from me. And I used to go down there with like a big bowl, and they used to have like this. It was like looked like one of those big coffee makers that had like holy water in it. I'm walking in there with like a Salem shirt, Salem with fucking pentacle on it, filling up a bottle with fucking holy water, bringing it back to use on my witch altar. I was just like, yo, what the fuck are you like? What's going on right now? because I knew that they made it specifically because it's not just water, like certain prayers is supposed to be said. And sometimes I do think there is something slightly put in there with the water. So that's why I was I'll get it from people who know what the fuck they're doing. Well, hopefully.
Well, in my experience, swamp water works just fine in getting rid of demons. So I'm not sure what kind of headache they're going to. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm sure there's a recipe.
Yeah, but I doubt
probably not to offend any Catholics. There's probably a better word than recipe.
Yeah. But I doubt most priests this day prepare. It's just water from the tap, and they blast it. And it's holy water.
Here's some mercury and fluoride. Long live the Lord.
Just bring me the children.
No, God, no.
Fluoridating my third eye. That seems a little satanic there, sir. Yeah.
They're supposed to be
taking
taking that out.
World when you start looking too close at it.
Have you heard that they're supposed to be taking that out of the water? I was like, what's the catch with that?
The fluoride, yeah.
The fluoride?
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to take that out of the water, what's the catch? Because that's a positive thing. Like, I just don't buy that. Why? That's what I heard.
There's no fluoride in the water here. We used to have
part of the overreaching campaign of the Matrix to make us all retarded and unable to properly function and see our roles and therefore break out of this carefully constructed matrix of a reality. That is one purported purpose of putting fluoride in our water.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm surprised they're going to take it out. Like that just has to.
Well, there is so many stuff in the food today that also calcifies the area
Yeah. Hey,
of
baby.
your third eye, that they don't need it anymore. So
That's probably
Right.
right.
There's that. Yeah.
Like,
everybody's
And then we
drinking
shut up.
Well, they're
Coca-Cola.
all
So
hooked on something else.
Yeah, anybody that
We all
doesn't
shut
believe
up.
in miracles, just look at America and the fact that we're all still walking around functional and able to think. When you look at our diets that we're raised on is actually no joke. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's quite miraculous when you look at what we're putting in our bodies every day.
well, until probably 2010, I think it shifted a little before that. In Europe, we considered America as the lab rats of the world, because it seems that everybody was being tested there and then spread across the rest of the world. Today it doesn't seem to be like that so much. There's other places that are being tested instead of Americans. But there was a raise in awareness of what's going on too. So
Well, we're all in a lab, we're all being tested. It's like
For
I heard
sure.
somebody say there was a Mandela effects post on X this morning, and they were talking about the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia, and they had the best explanation I've heard. They said, man, this is just a CIA mind hack. They want to see how far they can get away with it. Can they tell us all something we saw never happened and have us buy it? And that makes sense.
but who is testing the CIA?
Well, nobody. The CIA, Mossad, I mean, every intelligence agency around the world, Five Eyes, right? That's your deep state. That is the deep state's, operational arm in the world.
I tend to believe that there is always another higher control beneath every control until you get to the source. And I don't believe that any secret agents is the source of that power or
Right.
autonomous, but
Right.
Whoever has that power, you've never heard their name before.
never, and you'll never see them. So
Yeah.
That's only for those that can go to Mar-a-Lago and all of that kind of stuff. Those are the ones that can actually see them.
Is that a jab? Look, man, I went to see Mike Tyson, damn it. I was hoping I'd get to play Mike Tyson's Punch Out with him, but he was up at the front table and I had to sit with his mother. It's actually his mother-in-law, but he calls her mother. She was probably much better company than he was. She was delightful. I did get to talk to him about shamanism, though, so, made my night. He talked about the power of his mushrooms. Quit trying to jab me, Ricardo. Just because you're so handsome and winking at me through the whole podcast doesn't mean you can get away with calling me an elite. Damn it.
I was trying to be discreet. Trying to be discreet. You caught me.
Go outside, Ricardo.
Listen, I'm going to sling a flip-flop here in a minute.
Right.
Mhm. Well, cousin Nicholas.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. I do want to say though, for the people who are listening to this, I probably did like a third of them. So if you're interested in it, I'll do the whole thing on my show eventually. So look for that, because there was believe it or not, there was a lot that I did not cover.
I think you should
There's
do one
more.
of your long form ones where you.
Oh,
I
that's what I
love
was
when you
going to
do
do.
those ones.
Yeah, I was probably going to do it
Yeah.
in 2 or 3 parts, because I mean,
Yeah.
it's I took out 2 pages. It was 70. Now it's at 68, but I have 5 more herbs I want to add, and I still
Mhm.
haven't even covered the ones that are like known to like kill you that everybody knows. I didn't even put belladonna in there.
Yeah,
But I'm saying
those
like
are the
other
good
things,
ones.
but I do want to include those.
The hemlocks and the nightshades.
Yeah, at first I was like, I don't want to, because like I do eventually plan on. I have also the crystals that I'm working on as well. I didn't.
Yes,
wanna
because
put
they
those
all have
together.
association with herbs. Like each
Yeah,
herb has a color and an astrological sign and a crystal. Like there's association between everything, right? So
yeah. I mean,
that
that
would be
is one
really
thing
interesting.
I do want to add to, like, and part of the reason why I did it the way I did it is that from my experience from being in the magical, sort of like being in an order at one point, there are people who do understand that like these things actually have like medication behind it or scientific use behind it, but then there is a whole bunch of people that actually just think these things are like linked to like magical effects or represents a deity or so that's why I was kind of going on that angle, because there is a lot of practitioners who are not looking at it, in that way. So I try to come from it this way. But again, there is obviously there are a lot of people that do actually understand that if you take this, it helps with that. If you take that, it helps with this,
And
So it's
are
not,
you
it's not for those people. It's just, there are just different ways of looking at magic that I think is just kind of dumbing you down.
and apart from long-term presentation that are great, Are you planning to publish the paper itself so that people can read it?
That I
And where
do.
can people read the full document?
I'm not even sure. Obviously I would put it on my website eventually first. But right now, again, like I said, I want to even add stuff to it, so I wouldn't even put out.
Sure.
Yeah, my
you have-
website. I don't. You want to host it? You can have it too. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll probably put it up on the Occult Research Institute.org.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah, that's what I was leading up to. Yeah.
Man, thank you. I appreciate that. I forget about that website sometimes. But I have about 5 people I can add to that who's been before us site part, and I've just forgot. Yeah.
Well, I personally thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. So I really
Same.
appreciate all the time and the effort that I know that you put into it and trying to make it fit inside our time frames
Yeah.
here at UU. So yeah, I thank you wholeheartedly for your efforts.
No, thank you. It was fun actually just getting into this myself too.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I had an opportunity to talk about it, so it was very enjoyable for me.
There you go. Maybe next time I'll do the crystals or something.
Please
Yeah,
do.
definitely. Do the crystals. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Nick. I've got my notes, bro, for all the info. That was very enjoyable. And what popped in my mind, maybe, I don't know how you do content, but like a YouTube short on each of these, man. You know,
Oh, right,
like
on one of them? Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? And
Each
just
one?
throw that out.
Some of them for
Yeah.
sure. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, but
exactly.
show the image of the plant. Show the image of the plant so that people know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Herb of the day.
you're right. That's what
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
mean,
do.
because
if I made the video episode, I was going to put the herb up at least as I'm talking about it too. So
yeah, do like each
Yeah.
one because shorts kind of kill it from what I've been experimenting around and with YouTube,
Yes.
right?
Same.
And shorts, you can
It is
drive a lot of
and I don't use
yeah.
them.
And
Yeah,
then
that was great work, man.
Thank you.
and then we know who to blame when people start flooding into the hospitals. So
Right, right. Mandrake overdose.
That's why they would have put the
Maybe a
harmful ones in there
disclaimer.
because it's like you'll get some video, be like, oh, let me just test a little bit. I'm getting blamed.
Well, I mean, just think about it, man. I mean, all your women at home, or not, just people at home that like to garden. You open up your market, your interested audience.
That's
and
true.
they didn't know they wanted to know about occult rejects, and then boom, you've got them.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
why did you did this? Well, I'll watch it in a video from Nick.
Exactly right.
I bet they won't
Honey,
see.
what's in this tea? Shut up! You're not going out with the boys ever again.
That lemon balm.
Right.
Maybe just put a disclaimer on it.
Yeah. But thank you though. I had
Probably
a
a good idea.
really good time, and it was a great practice run for me doing it on my own. So
Nice.
hell yeah.
I know. I feel like I know a lot about herbs, especially because I'm a gardener, and I feel like I learned so much. I'm like Shaman. I took a bunch of notes and stuff, and maybe try some of this stuff, not the more dangerous ones. Or the Podfather might get mad at me. So
Listen, get some lemon balm or lemon verbena or really a lot of this aromatic stuff, and you just put it by your front door, and just introduce it to your environment, and you start noticing, a lot of these effects through your day. It's great stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, Sarah and I thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us for another edition of UU Crew. Thank you, Nick, for your wonderful presentation and for fussing over it for the last few days.
It's funny when Sarah was mentioning something about making slides, and I was like, "Yo, I think
no, man, it's however you want to present it.
He's like, do I need a slideshow? I was like,
I'm just grabbing pictures of these fucking things, and that's it.
Yeah, no, the way you
present
did
it
was
however you
great,
want.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, Dolly,
I had your sexy voice and Ricardo's handsome face. We were just
and that's enough.
perfect, Nick. We missed you, Ricardo. We did. I'm
That's
glad
more
you
than
tripped one
enough.
time.
Sarah, Dolly, where can the people find you?
On YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, Spreaker, X, Facebook, the whole world. Just we're everywhere.
Instagram. You
Look
almost
around,
had it.
Instagram.
Just look around, people.
Telepathy. Can also be reached through telepathy. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we close that department after midnight. Just saying, guys. Midnight
That's right.
to 6.
I was gonna say.
firm on that.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. It's another great one. And thank you to everyone else for watching. Oh, also, if you want to support the show, you can check out the link listed below description to our merch shop. Also, check out the Institute for Natural Philosophy website. And that's it. I think that's it.
We have news every
Period.
Sunday and a new episode every 2 weeks. So
There we
every
go.
other Wednesday. We'll
That's
see
it,
y'all there.
y'all. That's it.
Period.
Thanks, everyone, for
Toodaloo.
watching. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.